What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in to another video. So today we are working on a Whirlpool washer, and we are going to change out that water valve. I believe we are changing it because it was either leaking or the solenoid was not opening up completely to allow water to come through. But either way, we're gonna do this quick, fast, and easy. So these machines is usually a bunch of quarter-inch screws. A bunch of quarter-inch screws on the back. You want to take off that little panel, and then besides that, you want to start taking off the main back panel, the control panel. Bunch of panel. After you do that, you are going to unscrew those water hoses that are connected to your water valve. Just be sure you don't put them on backwards. You don't want the hot water where the cold one's supposed to go, and vice versa, because you're gonna feel lost as soon as you start testing it. Or if you leave it like that at a customer's house, they're gonna report back to you and be like, "Hey, this thing is still not working," and you might not even figure it out because you didn't even notice that. So, take pictures and just be careful. But here you see me using a zip tie because typically I don't really like reaching for the actual shut off valve, because sometimes when I even feel like they're stiff, I'm like, I don't even want to risk it. I've broken two in my life working in this field like this, and trust me, it is a bad feeling. And if you break the hot one, oh, that is not a good time. So you see me there pinching them with zip ties. Usually two can do it, but if you have a regular size zip tie that's a little bit bigger than this one, that'll probably be more than enough. So after you do that, you are going to need a flat blade, a flat head, and a little bit of a needle nose. So the reason for that is because that control panel, it has some pressure pins on the side where you just have to lift up the control panel slightly and then just slide that very thin flat blade in and just push them and then lift up. So you'll see me do that right here. Now, be careful, because if you lift up too much or if you're a little bit too rough with it, you might crack the control panel and it'll be very apparent. Or you might scratch at the bottom of that control panel and it'll be very apparent. Very apparent when it cracks, because you can see that line running across the control panel. And the other ones, it's going to look like you scratched up the whole thing, and that's going to look ugly. But anyways, you lift up and pull towards you and just leave it like that if you want to. Now, you see that right there. That is your water valve. Now, these are very, very, very simple to change out. The only thing you will ever struggle with is just obviously removing those water hoses that are connected to the water valve, and that's really about it. Because all those five connectors, sometimes it's between 4 and 5 connectors that it has. Sometimes they do get a little bit stuck to the actual solenoid, so just be careful. Don't break those connectors, because sometimes when you order these water valves, a new harness doesn't always come with it. I'm not sure why, but sometimes that's just how they come. But after you disconnect your connectors, you will have 2 quarter-inch screws on the side. But like I said, we do have to remove these in order to replace it and put on the new one. Now, when dealing with water on any sort of appliance, just be careful. Just be very, very, very careful, because one, you don't want to leave a leak, because that will cause a flood eventually, or water damage. And water damage equals mold, and mold equals you guys being sick from all those ugly particles in the air. But just be careful. And like I said, take pictures, take your time, do what you can. These videos, as I always say, they are to help you, especially if you are not an appliance technician. And what I mean by that is the money aspect. Appliance repair is not cheap. Now, if you are an appliance technician, pay attention to what you're doing, give great customer service. But overall, Treat the appliance like it was your own. Treat it well and try to leave it exactly how you found it. And if you can leave it better, hey, kudos to you, my brother. But just be careful. That's all I'm saying. And always, always take pictures. Now, after you see me take off those quarter-inch screws, you will see me lift up, and you saw it has like three little black rubbers on there. Those are like seals. Be sure that it has them on your water valve. Sometimes they get stuck in the little housing, but please be sure you have those, because as soon as water starts to run through there and that thing is not on it, that little rubber seal, it will leak from there. And remember, water is coming at a certain amount of pressure. If some things are not sealed up the way that they should, they will, be sporadic and spray all over the place. So just be careful. Now, after you install your water valve, just be careful when you are screwing it back onto that housing. You always see me using my drill, but just keep in mind, I've been doing this a while. I know how to control my trigger finger while I'm using my drill, so I know how to apply pressure. Don't go crazy and strip that, because if you do, you're going to crack it and it will leak from there. Trust me. Just be careful. If you want to screw it in with a little wrench, hey man, even better. But just be careful. Now, when you are putting these water hoses back on the water valve, there are maybe two things that you can or cannot do. One, you can just put them back on exactly how you found them. Or two, if you want to be extra precautious and put Teflon tape around the water valve itself and then put the water hose back on, you can do that too. But since these seals on the inside of the water hoses look pretty well, I didn't need to do that. But if you do notice that once you've already kind of tightened them enough and you see a little bit of a drip behind the water hose, you might need to apply some of that. But also, you would want to be smart and purchase those little bushings that go inside the water hoses themselves, because they do deteriorate, they do dissolve, and those are very important because they do provide more seal. Now, in the original one, it might not be leaking, but when you put it back on onto a different position and onto a different and new water valve, it's not going to be placed in the same original position, so it might leak from time to time. So be careful. Now, we are all done. We are going to connect it and we will test it out. Now, these, in order for you to put them into diagnostics mode, you do have to press three buttons in a sequence. I typically use the three in the middle. So it's just basically 9 times in total. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And reading the screen is kind of self-explanatory. It'll walk you through it. So just kind of pay attention to what I'm seeing, or if you want to zoom in, hey, go ahead. But it's very simple. Don't overcomplicate yourself. So all we really want to do is just, make sure that the water's coming in, make sure that when the water is coming in, nothing is leaking. Like I said, when dealing with water, it is very important that you don't leave a leak, because a leak is going to lead to a lot of bad places. And those are places that we don't want to go to. Not at all. So now we should be fairly done with this repair. So I'm going to start signing off, guys. Again, just remember what you're doing. Try to be confident. Try to have a starting point where you know where you're going, how you started. If you get lost, refer back to that. So I'm talking about taking pictures, doing what you got to do, and then you guys should be good. But I just want to take at least a minute to, thank you guys. Trust me, I enjoy doing these videos. I love, just, lending a helping hand when I was in a rut, when I had no clue what I was doing, when working in these appliances. Everything was new to me. At first, making these videos were just for like the consumers, your average Joes, the people that don't are not technicians. But lately, I've kind of been having, a little bit of a change of heart on the inside on my purpose on why I'm doing these. Um, and I'm thinking about myself about like 7 years ago when I started doing this and how lost I felt. And every time I would try to look up for a part number or a certain thing I'm gonna install or do, I could never find it. So that's why I'm very specific with the part numbers and very specific with what washer and how to and X, Y, and Z. But you know, I really appreciate all your feedback. I appreciate any small feedback. So just please like, share, comment, subscribe. But most of all, please share the video because more engagement means more traffic, and I can provide you more videos. But until next time, peace.